swing, choke up a little bit, not trying to do anything too faint. Umpires called against Weber because
Hill. The end of the bat for Laird, her second chance, and 2 east of Champaign. Pitching has been inconsistent, and the offense at times non-existent. Laird, Jordan Weber, and Laird will lead
speeds from that fastball to that curve.
things in the home first. 2 of the best players in the SEC of the year. Much the better team. As Laird strikes out, the first one for Fouts probably will not be
the SEC, which is already great by itself, but
not, especially as you noted, the quality of competition that Bama. Mizzou fans behind home plate are already Honnold chases. We talked about it. Missouri does not.
Good as the rise ball is for Montana Fouts.
5 home games. March of last year.
And that's been the thing that when people have made.
Daly chases. Back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings for our dueling starters, but Fouts does.
Nice start defensively for Laird today.
See why she won that Gold Glove last year.
Is that far over to her right in the hole that deep.
To the right center field gap, a long run, and it's over the head of Peyton Jackson. Allie Shipman is out of Page High School in Franklin. Yep. But she does not yet have a strikeout. Meanwhile, Montana Fouts punched out all 3. Pulled 3 violently in this at-bat. Payoff. Back to the circle. Shipman wandered off of second. Weber never really looked at her. And it allows Shipman. Made the trip about 120. Back to the circle. Stabbed by Weber. Not a lot of reaction time for but his home runs went a little farther.
You got that right. And they were all.
Bounce 1-2. Frizzell got a piece. Yeah, we talk about this. Did she not get a piece? A swing and a miss? It sounded like she got a little. Players and coaches about the transformation of 1-2. Strike 3 call over the outside corner. Make it 5 up and 5 down, all on strikes. How do you think when you observe the game now?
Been softball players that practiced with a team in the fall and played against them in the spring.
Oh, well, appreciate it.
Nights though, Nate, like 15, 16 strikeout.
Here's Larissa Pruitt, another one of these young hitters on the infield. Chester wants it and retires Pruitt. Strikeout leaderboard at Alabama. Now on 6 different occasions already this year, including 16. Excellent speed. And of course, hitting sophomore. Third for Daly, and that will retire White.
Might still be a tad outside, but it was.
Through the right side, a base hit for Cahalan. 2-out single for the Tide.
Yeah, it's a great at-bat, too, from Cahalan to haven't gotten the call in a couple close ones.
To third, Daly decides to play it and gets Hebelin at the bag. Of the Missouri lineup, true freshman in Katie Chester.
Yeah, midweek opponents aren't quite the same as playing against.
To short, handled cleanly by Cahalan, and that is so well.
It's a trade-off you're willing to take, though, I think, if you're an Alabama infielder.
I suspect. Jackson strikes out. Make it 7 for Fouts.
And so there has been really no real threat for Missouri's offense.
Those legends about Satchel Paige that every once in a while he'd be really in the zone and he'd say, oh, outfielders, he'd wave them in, tell the outfielder full. Third, handled by Prangy. A couple of chances on the infield. A bona fide busy inning for the Bama defending for Weber. See in the middle of the order for the second time. Calusa Regional. Mentioned it was the first time since the implementation.
16 straight years of making it to
what we were talking about earlier, when neither pitcher has walked anybody.
Incorrect calls. The first 2 were early. The first 2 bats
liked hitting against Weber and their chances against each other wall, but it wasn't reviewable, which at the time had Mizzou fans really worked up. 8 Central, or 9 Eastern, 8 Central, in case you, the easy fact, you know. He's got it out of the air, but not in time to double off Dowling at first.
Right on it with that.
1 ball, 1 strike on Alley. There's an ESPN foul. Rolled up first. Weber couldn't handle it. 2 on for the Tide. As well in the SEC play so far this year. Johnson is ahead 1 ball and no strikes. Back in the second. And she's hit. So Weber's control has escaped her just a little bit here in this inning. And this is Colt for Weber to get a strikeout or two to pitch her way out of trouble.
She probably, maybe a piece of the ball did hit her hand, but it also hit the bat too, and so that's why it's a foul ball.
Got to stay on your toes over there, even in the dugout.
Problem sometimes when you're a contact pitcher.
Daly bobbles, gets the lead runner and nothing more. Would have been poetic timing for Weber to say, oh yeah, well,
Alabama's truly been threatening. Like that's, you'll take
back to the circle. And Weber was able to glove it. That was sort of an underrated play, and we were rushing into break hearts rather than their eyes. I think that pitch was clearly inside. Daly, Laird has no play, but Cara Daly still probably saved a run there.
Scores a run, but instead, bases are full.
The pressure on now. Pushing it to the wall. It is caught. Her first SEC hit is a grand slam. Of last year's Tuscaloosa series, when Cassidy for your first SEC hit, Larissa Pruitt.
When that one swing gives you 4 runs. Case.
White in front of the plate, handled by Daly, and the inning is over. But Alabama lineup. The inexperienced folks down at the
swing of the bat like that, it changes the complexion of an entire game and maybe an entire weekend potentially.
2-1 scored 5 games in an SC, 5 runs a year. Praying he gets to that line drive in foul territory, and Honnold retired for the second time.
It's just a different feel.
I don't want to be too harsh. There's only 2 runs against Auburn. If it was nothing against third for Prangy, another chance. Taken nicely, 2 down. What is this going to look?
Games have been decided by 1 run. I mean, they're staying in game.
Another one for Fouts. 8 Ks in 4 innings. She's a top of the order for Alabama. Pops it way up on the infield. Daly wants it, called off by the first baseman. Sort of hide her pitchers from the opponent. Pen argument you'd use in baseball, where that's talking about saving arms.
Throw somebody else out there could potentially throw on Saturday or Sunday, and that's just another chance that these Bama hitters get to see.
It's been Gallagher. Tough play for on the dive.
Wow.
Has had 1 base runner on a single in the second from.
Take base runners.
And their strikeout number 9. Tigers trying to do anything they can.
And that time she goes a little bit off speed, down.
To the left side. See if Bama tries to turn it. Haviland just holds on. They get the force on the. And that brings up Katie Chester.
First base.
Well, kicks away from Shipman, and there is a Tiger in his scoring position on.
Have to find ways to bring this run in.
Full. Hit to short, handled by Cahalan on the short hop. Nicely done. On her 18th, potentially set up an all-SEC champ.
Won 4 in a row in the tournament this year.
Plus 36-0, so they're at 42.
42. There you go. Doing though, when this game ends, I'm getting to the nearest TV.
2-2. Gobbled up by Daly. And there's 1 away. I think there's a little bit of time until that game tips off. Allie Shipman is next for Alabama. I don't want to make it out to be like it's a 1-1 Honnold and they're 2 down, but Clark is a cut above probably any other player. Cat Grill is going to pinch hit for Alabama. There are sometimes in high school sports when it feels like that. They're the same level of involvement she had last. That one through the left side. 2-out pinch hit single for Grill.
You can see it on the bench most of the night. Come in, get a base hit.
Broadfoot held up her swing, and it's off the plate, 1-1.
Average 1 year of Division III basketball.
SEC and adds a walk. Second time she's been on tonight. Missouri staff, that's true of
Slam from Pruitt, her first career home run.
Schumacher gets her on 3 pitches. How about that? The gate didn't disrupt her.
Here led the country in strikeouts with 349.
Struck out in the 3rd. It's in play. Haviland at second base for the first out. Only 2 strikeouts for. There's a different version of this script. We've talked about it with as the ball was going over the fence.
The ball was in Jackson's mitt. Like she ran, the ball was in her glove. She ran into the wall track.
It definitely doesn't get well hit, but easily handled. Now the first action for Jenna Johnson.
Probably not all that far off.
Nothing in 1 on. Strike three call over the inside. 10 when leading after 6.
Really good tonight, but again, she's not a strikeout pitcher. She pitched.
On the official stats, Abby Dukeshire is still in high school. On a line toward Laird, and she threw it to first just to be ever coached as a result. There was their fingertips back into center. A little chuck and duck for Schumacher. It's a pair of hits tonight for Cahalan, and she's aboard with one.
We need to take a day off, and he said none of them will ever come straight.
2 strikes on Haviland. Toward the circle, Schumacher records the out at first. He's walking back
and maybe hit him in the knee or something. I don't know.
Coach is not adequate stocking with the broadcaster say.
Definitely.
Rips it to short, handled off a hop by Jenna Laird. Smooth as ever.
Being 0-0 because it was one swing of the bat, right? You just.
Well, that would have broken up the no-hitter either way, I guess. So Daly has her first hit. And yes, point is at the very least, get more eyeballs on.
I mean, I'm not a fan of moral victories here, but if you're Missouri, that's one thing that.
Snyder strikes out, 11 for Fouts.
Could be good news for an offense that's been
pretty well into right center. White is over a collision. White hung on. Daly moves up to third. Gallagher got to second in the 5th. Here she comes. Another shutout for Montana Fouts. She moves into sole possession of third on a Friday night.